it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurt my brother, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting my sister. Somebody's hurt my sister, and it's gone on far too long. Oh, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting my sister, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting our children. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. Oh, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting my neighbor. Somebody's hurting our neighbor, and it's gone on far too long. Oh, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting our neighbor, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Okay, so you know we're not the entertainment. We're the cultural workers in the DC Labor Chorus. And we don't sing solo. We don't sing solo. We don't sing in trios. Everybody can sing. If you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. So we're going to repeat it again for you, and you're going to sing with us. We don't care if the Glee Club teacher told you not to sing. We don't care if the nuns told you to stand in the back of the room, just move your lips. We don't care if the rabbi threw up both hands with oy vey ganug. We don't care if your children ran screaming from the nursery. No, mommy, no, daddy, don't sing again. Please don't sing again. This is not about whether you can carry a tune in a bucket, sisters and brothers. This is about come, union. Come is a Latin word for with. Union is a Latin word for one. And when we sing together, we are in union. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. Oh, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Now there are some people who are attempting to do the ventriloquist thing, to sing without moving their lips. Well, that's good if you can do it. But I'd rather see you open up your mouth and make a joyful noise. Because this is about us coming together and raising our voices in all this work that we do. So, somebody's hurting our neighbors, and it's gone on far too long. Hey, it's gone on far too long. Hey, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting our neighbors, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Now, like all good songs for social justice, you can zip in your own verses. So if somebody else wants to throw in a word there that, you know, they've been hurting, blank, fill it in for us, and we're gonna sing it. Got one? Hello? Y'all still out there, aren't you? Okay. Somebody poison our water, and it's gone on far too long. Oh, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's poison our water, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's poison the air, and it's gone on far too long. Oh, it's gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's poison our air, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's breaking up families. Somebody's breaking up families, and it's gone on far gone on far too long. Yeah, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's breaking up families, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. It's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting our children, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore.
Can you vote?
And we won't be silent anymore.
When?
And we won't be silent anymore.
Website. There is and we always meet people, you know, because it's very uneven. You know, sometimes it's crowded, but sometimes people are out. And so that's one thing that there's a great need for hotline volunteers. And yeah, and the training is, you know, very minimal. Just you know, you get on the boat. So if you're interviewing but yeah, maybe we can see Brian Barger. Brian Barger. Yes, just talking about it. Just talking about it. Yeah, I was telling her to
Everybody's got a right to live, and before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail, like Reverend Hagler. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody got to love. Everybody's got a right to love. Everybody's got a right to love. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to love, to learn. Everybody's got a right to learn. Everybody's got a right to learn. And before this campaign fails, hey, we'll all go down to jail. Yell, Reverend. Everybody's got a right to learn. Peace. Everybody's got a right to peace. Everybody's got a right to peace. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to peace. It's a sanctuary. Everybody's got a right to sanctuary. Everybody's got a right to sanctuary. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to sanctuary. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to live. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. Everybody's got a right to live. Everybody's got a right to love. Everybody's got a right to love. And before this campaign fails, we'll all go down to jail. megaphone. Is it time to get on the megaphone?
Not yet.
Okay.
Unless he wants to need some chants. Do that. Say it! Ready? Say it loud! Say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! Say it loud! Say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! Say it loud! Say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! Say it loud! Say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! Say it loud! Say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! Say it loud! Say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! Say it loud! Say it clear! Immigrants are welcome here! What do we do when immigrants are under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when our neighbors are under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when our communities are under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when we're under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when immigrants are under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when immigrants are under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when our neighbors are under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when our communities are under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
What do we do when we're under attack?
Stand up, fight back!
Woo! 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 Ow! Stand up is the English language, so we need to show up. Is this it? How you doing?
How are you doing?
Good, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I don't have much time to go. I'm glad you're here too. I was worried that no one from you guys able to do what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's taking
Okay. I'm here.
Soon and very soon, we are gonna change the world. Soon and very soon, we are gonna change the world. Soon and very soon, we are gonna change the world. It's gonna last forever and ever. We're gonna change the world. Immigrants are welcome here. Immigrants are welcome here. Hey, we are gonna change the world. Immigrants are welcome here. We are gonna change the world. Say it together, y'all. Immigrants are welcome here. We are gonna change the world. It's gonna last forever and ever. We're gonna change the world. Sanctuary now. Sanctuary now. We are gonna change the world. Sanctuary now. We are gonna change the world. My brother. Sanctuary now. We are gonna change the world. It's gonna last forever and ever. We're gonna change the world. Jobs and justice. We are gonna change the world. Peace, jobs and justice. We are gonna change the world. It's gonna last forever and ever. We're gonna change the world. Soon and very soon. We are gonna change the world. Soon and very soon. We are gonna change the world. Soon and very soon. We are gonna change the world. It's gonna last forever and ever. We're gonna change the world. Abolish ICE. Abolish ICE. We are gonna change on through, y'all. We are gonna change the world. Soon and very soon. We are gonna change the world. It's gonna last forever and ever. We're gonna change the world. Pronto, muy pronto, cambiaremos este mundo. Pronto, muy pronto, cambiaremos este mundo. Pronto, muy pronto, cambiaremos este mundo. La vida, cambiaremos este mundo.
You all get whistle? Not yet. I haven't called off the
Really bad on your behalf because
I don't think they took it off. I think it just fell.
So you live in
How you doing?
Catherine over there.
Well, they are.
Yes.
Hey! Oh
I always carry around my fish sandwiches and the bread, the vegetables all the time.
your face feels pretty good. Oh, good. Okay, I wanted to make sure that. Hi, Monica. Nice to meet you. GSCN ongoing collaborations with status updates, etc. Yeah, Alex is good.
Hey, how you doing, bud? Thanks for coming out.
Good. Yeah.
Of course. This land is mine, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the green water. This land was made for you and me. Are you ready to start a chant down there? Woo! Yay! Woo! The right way in How have you been? I haven't seen you in a month. How you been?
Hello? Y'all hear me?
Yep.
Alright. We're going to do a chant aimed at Mayor Bowser. Alright? So I'm going to say Mayor Bowser. Y'all going to say you're violent and silent. Is that alright? You're silent and violent. You'll say you're silent. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. Mayor Bowser, you're silent. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. Mayor Bowser, you're silent. You're silent. You're silent. You're silent. Alright, what do we want? Sanctuary for all. What do we want?
Sanctuary for all.
What do we want?
Sanctuary for all.
What do we want?
Sanctuary for all.
What do we want?
Sanctuary for all.
keep on walking, keep on talking, marching on the freedom land. Ain't gonna let your Mauser turn us around, turn us around, turn us around. Ain't gonna let your Mauser turn us around. We gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching on the freedom land. Ain't gonna let no eyes turn us around, turn us around, turn us around. Ain't gonna let no eyes turn us around. We're gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching on the freedom land. Ain't gonna let no right wing turn us around, turn us around, turn us around. Ain't gonna let no right wing turn us around. We're gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching on the freedom land. Ain't gonna let Donald Trump turn us around, turn us around, turn us around. Ain't gonna let Donald Trump turn us around. We're gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching on the freedom land.
Since you got elected.
Keep it coming.
What was that? We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe. I do believe we shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Yes.
Alright, we're gonna practice another chant.
Okay.
ICE and prisons, we don't need them. And then y'all are gonna say, what we want is total freedom. Alright?
Yep.
ICE and prisons, we don't need them.
What we want is total freedom.
ICE and prisons, we don't need them.
What we want is total freedom.
ICE and prisons, we don't need them.
What we want is total freedom.
ICE and prisons, we don't need them.
What we want is total freedom.
ICE and prisons, we don't need them.
What we want is total freedom.
ICE and prisons, we don't need them.
What we want is total freedom.
Up, up with liberation. Down, down with deportation. Up, up with liberation.
Down, down with deportation.
Up, up with liberation.
Down, down with deportation.
Up, up with liberation.
Down, down with deportation.
Up, up with liberation.
Down, down with deportation.
Up, up with liberation.
Down, down with deportation.
Up, up with liberation.
Down, down with deportation.
Up, up with liberation.
Down, deportation. Up with liberty.
I have an update from our friends inside. So for those of you who don't know, we're here today to call on Mayor Bowser to speak out publicly on behalf of those people who are taken from our communities. So to start out, we sent a group inside with a letter signed by 20 DC-based, DC area organizations demanding that Mayor Bowser speak out publicly and she intervene personally to help get our community members free, to get them out of detention and keep them from being deported away from their families and away from us. Unfortunately, nobody has been willing to meet with them yet. They're still there inside. Instead, apparently, they're sending out some staff people to talk to us about all of the initiatives that Mayor Bowser has in favor of immigrants in this city. Now we know there have been important policies passed by the city of DC because of the tireless efforts of advocacy groups, immigrant rights groups here in the city. That's why we have the sanctuary city policies that we have. That's why we have the legal fund for those who are facing deportation. But is that enough?
No!
Is that enough?
No!
Where is Bowser? 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 So we'll wait a little bit longer, see what happens if anybody chooses to meet with our group, and if not, I hope you all are ready to make a lot of noise with us.
Are there people crying?
This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. Join us! This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. The sun was shining as I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds bowling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is your land. This land is my land. This land is my land. From California. From California. To the New York Island. New York Island. From the redwood forest. Redwood forest. To the Gulf Stream water. Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. In the squares of the city, shadow of the steeple by the relief office, I saw my people as they stood hungry. I stood there asking, is this land made for you and me? This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, to Redwood Forest, from Redwood Forest to Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking, I saw a sign there, and on the sign said private property, but on the other side it didn't say nothing. That sign was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Nobody living, nobody living can never.
Do you want to report back?
Can everybody move over here on this side, please?
If you move so a regular passenger can get through, thank you.
Come on over and gather over here. Try to let people through as you come through. Si se puede, 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 se puede, si se puede, si se puede, si se puede, si se puede.
Thank you everyone for coming here. A small group of us representing a number of organizations just went in to meet with Mayor Bowser. We were unable to meet with the mayor, and in fact we have been sending letters since the raids that happened conducted by ICE last month. We have not been able to meet with the mayor. We did meet with one of her staffs, and I believe their colleagues came out here and passed around some flyers about what the mayor's office has been doing. We appreciate the legal services, the legal fund, the Know Your Rights sessions, and all the other efforts to support immigrants. However, it is clear that the mayor's office has been silent on these raids. When we asked the mayor's staff to respond to our ask, which is to call for the release of all DC residents taken by ICE, they flat out refused. They said, we don't know the backgrounds of these people. They said, we don't know if they were criminals. We don't know if they were murderers. We know criminality is a tool to draw lines between us. We know that they are trying to divide us. There's an old tactic of divide and conquer, and that's what this idea of criminalization is. We said, what, can't the justice system handle that? Why should ICE be deporting people based on what they think they've done? Mayor Bowser refused, and they said, no, we will not look into that.
Shame!
We not only want ICE out of DC, we want DC to be a true sanctuary city. And what that means cannot be cooperation between DC officials, DC police, and ICE. When we raise this issue for a formal investigation into concerning credible reports that DC police colluded with ICE, the mayor's office said we had looked into it and there's nothing to look at. The chief of police said there was no collusion. We will hear a different side today. We will hear testimonies from family members and neighbors of those peoples impacted about how cooperation between DC police and ICE is breaking the fabric of our community, is devastating our communities, is separating families right here in Washington, DC. Thank you all for coming today. I think we have a lot to talk about, and I'd like to pass this on. Thank you so much.
Folks, you have to allow passage on the sidewalk. Okay? You have to allow for passage on the sidewalk.
We'll be back! 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 So as you heard, we from Sanctuary DMV, along with the Sanctuary Congregations Network and 20 other organizations, delivered a letter today. We know that this is not just Sanctuary DMV. This is not just one organization. This is a long-standing movement in this city to protect our residents, no matter what their immigration status. So I'm excited right now to have representatives from several other of our partner organizations that want to talk to you about what's happening here in this city and what we'll do in response. So first of all, I'd like to call up Danny Sendejas from La Colectiva.
Hello, everyone. Hello. All right, we're gonna start off with the chant because I need some energy from y'all. All right? Y'all cool? So it's fist up, ice down. Okay? Fist up.
Ice down.
Fist up. Ice down. Fist up. Ice down. Fist up. Ice down. Fist up. Ice down. Fist up. Ice down. And now it's, yeah, she liked it. She liked it. Y ahora en español. Y'all ready? All right. Puño en alto y la migra al carajo. All right? Puño en alto y la migra. 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 All right. All right. Thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Danny. I'm a member of La Colectiva. We are an inclusive collaborative led by Latinx people in Northern Virginia. Mi nombre es Danny Sendejas. Soy miembro de La Colectiva. Somos una colaborativa inclusiva liderada por gente Latinx en el norte de Virginia. And we're here today to be in solidarity with the families, with the residents, the community members that were impacted by the recent raids that affected DC and Virginia residents. Y estamos aquí hoy en solidaridad con las familias, con las personas de la comunidad que han sido impactadas por las redadas que ocurrieron en DC y en Virginia recientemente. And as mentioned earlier, unfortunately we know that this is nothing new. Right? Raids are not new. Las redadas no son algo nuevo. But why though? Because politicians give ICE the tools to come find our family members. Politicians give ICE the tools to go create the raids in our communities, to go terrorize our communities. Politicians in collaboration with the police giving information to ICE is what gives them these lists to go target our people. And to that we say no more. No more. No more. Y estamos aquí porque sabemos que las redadas no solo ocurren, sabemos de que muchas veces son las pólizas locales que proveen información a la migra, la policía y las ciudades locales que proveen información, que crean las listas con las cuales luego vienen a buscarnos, luego vienen a encarcelar a nuestras familias y a nuestras comunidades. And so we are here to stand in solidarity because we know that silence is complicity. Y estamos aquí en solidaridad porque sabemos que el silencio es ser cómplice a lo que está ocurriendo. So we're asking Mayor Bowser, will you be silent? Right? Estamos aquí para saber de la alcaldesa Mayor Bowser si ella va a estar en silencio, pero nos acaban de decir que sí. So we already got the response, right? That yes, she is going to be silent. important to be aware of what these politicians are being complicit with. Right? They are being complicit in the incarceration and mass deportation of our family members. They are being complicit in the creation of fear in our communities. Están siendo cómplices en la encarcelación masiva y la deportación masiva de nuestras comunidades y cómplices en crear terror y miedo en nuestras comunidades. But to our community, it's okay to have fear. It's natural. But here's the thing. We need to organize to protect ourselves because we need to recognize who the enemies are and we need to be able to stand up and fight against them. Y para las comunidades que sabemos que tienen quizás temor ahorita, que el temor es algo natural, que eso está bien, pero lo que necesitamos reconocer es que necesitamos reconocer al enemigo y organizarnos, porque la forma que nos protegemos es por medio de organizarnos. And then lastly, I also just want to plug in a couple other things. That we recognize that the people who are locked up in the raids in DC and through collaboration with ICE, que las personas que son encarceladas por medio de las redadas son encarceladas en Virginia. They're locked up in Virginia in detention centers across the state. And so we know that there is profit happening from the incarceration of our migrant family members and community members. Sabemos que hay gente lucrando, sacando dinero tristemente de la encarcelación de nuestros familiares y de nuestras personas de nuestras comunidades, including, right, there are counties that make money, there are local governments that make money, and there are also local politicians like Alfonso Lopez in Virginia who has been profiting from working for ICA Farm Bill for at least 3 years. And so just like this, right, all politicians, we don't care what party you're with, we don't care what you say your values are, but you show it, right? You show it. And if you're one of these politicians profiting or benefiting from the incarceration of our family members, we're going to be there all the time, and we're going to make sure you hear from us. Y si cualquier político de que se beneficia de la encarcelación masiva de nuestros familiares, ahí vamos a estar siempre presionándoles. And I really, really hope that Mayor Bowser fixes this and is willing to meet with people who are impacted. Que la alcaldesa se reúna con personas que son impactadas. Because I saw recently an Instagram post where she was meeting with somebody, a politician from El Salvador, who I know is super, super corrupt. But she's meeting with these people, but not with the communities impacted here. So, that's it, y'all. And just real quick, fist up. Ice down. Fist up. Ice down. Fist up. Ice down. Fist up. Ice down.
Next, another important partner here in Washington, D.C. that we'd like to call up is an organization that's been putting themselves on the line for the last 4 days to stop ICE in our communities and to demand the release of our community members. So next I'd like to call up a representative of Democratic Socialists of America, D.C. chapter.
Hi, my name is Deidre Nelms and this is Jesse Rabinowitz. We're here with DC DSA Migrant Justice. Our group is here to call on Mayor Bowser, who's an important target in the fight against ICE, the fight against detention, and the fight against deportation. We're calling on Mayor Bowser to enforce sanctuary cities with our partners here, but there are also a number of important targets that often are neglected in this fight against ICE and detention and deportation. For the last 4 days, we have been in Fairfax County outside the Fairfax ICE field office. This is where we know a lot of our neighbors and community members are often detained just for showing up to their scheduled ICE check-ins. We find this unacceptable. Also in Fairfax, there's a detention center where after our neighbors are swept up, after our coworkers are swept up, they're kept in Fairfax, often for minor traffic violations, just for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Our group showed up the last 4 days in Fairfax County, and 14 of us were arrested. It's revealing that we were arrested for trespassing because it shows that there are land management companies, private property owners who are profiting from leasing their building to ICE. It's important that we put our bodies on the line and get in the way of everyone who's profiting from ICE. That's right. Migrant Justice has also been showing up to the homes of officials who have worked for ICE, who have worked for the Department of Homeland Security, And we've been revealing that there's a revolving door between these officials and people who profit heavily from the contracts with ICE later on. This revolving door is unacceptable. We shouldn't have the same faces showing up on government and the private contractors profiting from these ICE contracts. I'm going to pass it to Jesse.
Hey there, I'm Jesse, also from DSA. I just want to give a shout out to the many folks here who have been in and out of jail for the past few days, so raise your hand and let's give them a huge cheer. But for us, it was important to put our bodies on the line, even if that meant getting arrested, because to us, DC is still a sanctuary city, even if it's not to the mayor. So we're willing to do what it takes to put our bodies on the line and shut down this corrupt system of criminalization and deportation of our neighbors, and we hope that you will continue to stand with us and join us. If you want to chat some more about this, come find me after and we can talk some more.
Up with liberation, down, down with deportation. Up with liberation, down, down with deportation. Up with liberation, down, down with deportation. Up with liberation, down, down with deportation.
With liberation, down, down with deportation. With liberation, down, down with deportation. With liberation, down, down with deportation. With liberation, down, down with deportation.
Now it's my honor to bring up another organization that's been crucial here in Washington, D.C. in advocating for those more marginalized in this community. Often, it's not just those, people are not just targeted for being undocumented immigrants. We know that they're targeted across this city for being black, for being brown, for being Muslim, for being other religious minorities, for being trans, for being marginalized in so many different ways, which is why it's important for us from Sanctuary DMV to join with organizations and be across issues, to work on police issues, to work on surveillance, and in favor of our undocumented members here in the community. So with that, I'd like to call up Mahala Halal from the Justice for Muslims Collective. Thank you all so much for being here today. As you all know, we're here to demand accountability from Mayor Bowser, right? But it's not just about Mayor Bowser. It's about everyone who enforces the system of criminalization of our communities. Yes. So, I don't know if anyone saw this, but in June there was an op-ed in the Washington Times that talked about Mayor Bowser being a champion of immigrants. In 2016, she said, quote, "We are a sanctuary city because we know that our neighborhoods are safer and stronger when no one is afraid to call on our government for help and when our police can focus on protecting and serving." So now we're calling on her for help. We're calling on her to stop ICE from targeting our communities. We're calling on her to stop the abuse of power by these institutions. So where is Mayor Bowser? Where is she? Is Mayor Bowser really a champion of immigrants if she can't guarantee the safety of our communities? Is that what it means to be a champion of immigrants? No. So what does Mayor Bowser have to say about this? She said nothing. And her silence has been deafening, as has the silence of so many actors in this national security system. And let's be clear, when you use language that positions immigrants as national security threats, it's unacceptable. We are not a means to national security ends of this country. We don't have to talk about our value to this country. We don't have to prove to you that we're good immigrants. We don't have to do that. We are inherently deserving of rights because we are human beings. We don't have to repeat this over and over and over again. And it's unfortunate that we have to keep coming back here time and time again because she wants to consider DC a sanctuary city but does nothing to make that happen. And what does that mean? It means we're going to keep coming back. It means that we're not going to stay silent. It means that we're going to demand accountability. It means that we're not going to stop until she makes the city a sanctuary city. Yes. And we know this is not just about sanctuary, right? It's not just about immigration. It's all the ways that she oversees the criminalization of multiply marginalized communities in this city. Yes. So it's imperative that she takes action, because we will not vote her in again if she continues to criminalize our communities. Right. And this is important. And we stand here today in support of all immigrants, and with the knowledge that we will be back. And she should know that we will be back. We will not be silent. And unlike her, we will continue to fight for immigrants and be the true champions of those who are criminalized. Thank you.
Where is Bowser? 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 Where is Bowser?
Where is Bowser?
Next, I'd like to bring up Father Moises from Sacred Heart Church, directly across the street from where at least 9 of our neighbors were taken.
I'm here with some of my parishioners from Sacred Heart. We are the sanctuary of the city, Sacred Heart, Santuario del Sagrado Corazón. We are here also to support our immigrant community. We are an immigrant community, and it's sad that we are not having the response that we were expected to from our mayor. And so we're here to also to demand the city, Washington, which we love and we care, and we pay our taxes and we live here. We also want and deserve and we want a respect for our community. It's enough is enough, and we're here because we are standing with our immigrant community. And quisiera decir estas palabras hoy en la fiesta de la transfiguración, que es la fiesta del Salvador del mundo. Para muchos de nosotros es bien importante esta fiesta, porque nos ayuda a reconocer que tenemos que cambiar nuestra mente y nuestro corazón, especialmente para los inmigrantes de nuestra comunidad. Estamos aquí porque queremos tener una ciudad en la cual todos somos bienvenidos y respetados por nuestras creencias y por nuestra fe. Así es que queremos decirle a la alcaldesa de la ciudad de Washington que estamos aquí demandando respeto para nuestra comunidad inmigrante.
Sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se
puede, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede. So we as Sanctuary DMV were out here in front of the Wilson building last September. We marched that day from the Icefield office over here because at that time we again had heard that neighbors of ours in this city had been rounded up. We demanded on that day that Bowser speak out, that she intervene directly to protect our community members, and she refused. Once again, now, we've heard that at least 12, maybe as many as 20, people from our city, from my neighborhood in Columbia Heights, were rounded up, and at least 5 different raids over a series of days. We have credible reports that there was collusion between the Metropolitan Police Department and ICE to round up my neighbors. So we're here again. We sent Mayor Bowser a letter signed by several DC and DC area organizations demanding that she investigate the allegations of collusion, that she investigate allegations of racial profiling, and that she intervene to get our neighbors out of the horrific detention conditions that we know exist across this country. Once again, what have we heard from her? Silence. Are we going to put up with this? No. Are we going to stand for this? No. Are we going to let her sit once again in silence as our neighbors are rounded up? So now I'd like to hand it off to one of my co-organizers with Sanctuary DMV, Ben Beachy.
How y'all doing? Hey. All right.
heard, my name is Ben Beach, I volunteer at Sanctuary DMV, and we just heard again how during the week of July 8th, in just that 1 week, ICE raided at least 5 neighborhoods in Washington, D.C. and tore at least 12 people from their families in our community. And you just heard that we've talked with witnesses who saw this, and they report that ICE indiscriminately detained people on the street, that ICE used racial profiling, that ICE lied to people to get them to open their doors, and that with all of this, ICE collaborated with DC police. I've been in touch with a number of the family members who had their loved ones taken away from them by ICE in these raids. None of them wanted to talk publicly today, because there's a lot of fear in our communities right now. And that's what happens when ICE is free to come into our communities and terrorize them. Though none of these family members want to talk publicly, they all do have something to say. They have shared with us messages from Mayor Bowser today and said that we should pass them along. So that's what I'm going to do. One person I spoke with had 2 family members who were taken from them by ICE last month here in DC. They described to me how 2 people identifying themselves as police officers came and knocked on the door of a man who we'll call Manuel, a man who's been in DC for years. These officers said that they were looking for a specific person. Manuel didn't know who this person was and told them so. So then the officers started chatting up the man. They asked him, hey, what are your favorite restaurants here in DC? They asked him, what is your favorite beer? Making small talk. So when they asked to come in, Manuel let them. And that's when they asked Manuel for his papers. He didn't have them, and so they handcuffed Manuel and then took him to a van where ICE agents were waiting. Right now, as we speak, Manuel is sitting in a cell in Virginia fighting not to be deported. Most of his family live here in the DC area. And if deported, he'd be torn away from them and sent back to a country where violence recently killed his last remaining family members in Mexico. A country where he has no family left. So I asked Manuel's family members here in DC what message they might have for our mayor. Here's what they said. The mayor's office is supposed to help DC residents, but there has been no help for us. We came here to make ends meet. The situation in some of our countries is pretty bad right now. We're here in DC to work and to support our kids. Why do they keep detaining us? Why is DC letting them detain us? Manuel is not the only neighbor of ours detained last month who could face violence when he goes home, if he's deported. A few of the family members I talked to told how their loved ones actually face explicit death threats in their home countries. One woman put it very bluntly to me. She said, if my husband is deported, they will kill him. That is what is at stake. And it's not over either. This is not the first or the last time that ICE has come into our communities. One person I was just talking to last night told me how she had family members of hers taken from her last month, yes. But just this weekend, ICE came back to her neighborhood. Just this weekend, she saw unmarked vans parked outdoors. Just this weekend, officers were coming up and stopping every man that they saw on the street who looked like he had brown skin and asking them for their papers. She said this, we are supposedly a sanctuary city, but right now we have a lot of fear. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know who will be taken next. The message from her and from all these family members is pretty clear. DC does not yet deserve to have the title of sanctuary city. Not when ICE can whisk away their family and our neighbors, colleagues, and friends. Not when the DC jail has a standing practice of giving ICE a heads up before releasing people so that ICE can come detain them. Not when ICE is reportedly collaborating with our own DC police, and not when our mayor responds to all of this with silence. Mayor Bowser, though, she still has time to act. Right now, as I mentioned, DC residents are sitting in cells in Virginia wondering if they will be torn from their families in our community. We call on Mayor Bowser to stand up to ICE and demand that they be released. We call on Mayor Bowser to sever all ties between DC officials and ICE. We call on Mayor Bowser to make DC the sanctuary city it aspires to be for all of its residents. Sanctuary, not silence.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, friends. It's me again. My name is Gaurav. I'm an organizer with Sanctuary DMV, and I just want to first thank you for standing tall with your neighbors. As we've heard, the raids that took place last month have left a lot of fear in the city. While many have known about ICE's long and well-documented track record of abuse, now we've seen it up close. And with reports of DC police collaborating with ICE in multiple raids last month, and serious concerns over racial profiling by ICE, we find ourselves at an important moment right now in our city. We have to critically examine what it means for DC to be a sanctuary city and demand that our elected officials follow their words with actions and sever all ties with ICE. Because we came here today together as a community to imagine and demand a true sanctuary city where all of us can live and thrive together. And that means more than simply claiming to be a sanctuary city. It has to go beyond empty words. For our elected officials, this means implementing policies and practices that completely severs all ties with ICE. MPD should not be calling ICE in DC or participating in raids. ICE should not be waiting outside DC courts to pick people up. And there should be immediate investigations into collaboration between any city officials and all parts of this deportation machine. And real quick, I mean, if I could be real about it for a second, you would think that in a city like DC, a city that prides itself on its progressive ideals, a city that claims to be sanctuary, a city that every day echoes these calls to resist, a city that says it's 95% Democrat, whatever that means, in a city like that, our elected officials should be standing here with us today. They should be here shoulder to shoulder, speaking up and speaking loudly, telling us what they have already done to secure the release of everyone who was taken away by ICE. Their silence speaks volumes. But what I really want to say is simple. We all have a responsibility to look out for one another and take care of each other. And that's why we're all here today. Because we understand that as a city, one of our greatest strengths is our diversity, and that includes our vibrant immigrant communities. Now, we know there's always excuses. We just heard them inside. One of the ways that power operates is that it tries to divide and conquer. And that's what this administration in the White House is trying to do, and there are already people who have bought into it. They tell you that certain people's lives are worth less, or that certain people are not worthy. They try to draw lines between us. They call our friends and neighbors gang members, criminals, aliens, illegal, but we know that no human being is illegal. And right here today, we refuse to fall into that trap. We do not discriminate regarding who deserves dignity. We reject the narrative, as someone said earlier, between the good immigrant and the bad immigrant. We understand how using the label of criminality is a way to keep us from doing what we are doing right here today. So let's connect the dots. We clearly see mass incarceration and mass deportation as systemic ways to criminalize black and brown people. We understand that detentions and deportations are another part of that process. We know that there are institutions profiting off the separation of families and the devastation of communities. And what that looks like in DC, in this city, just as we heard, is that our neighbors are now sitting in cells awaiting deportation, all of that in a city that calls itself sanctuary. And we know, as we've heard, this is not just a DC problem. It's happening in Virginia. It's happening in Maryland. Last month we saw 53-year-old immigrant Marta Rodriguez, who had been living in Maryland for over a decade, senselessly deported. We know the story of Prince Bahutu, who was detained at his ICE check-in and then taken, shackled in a van, driven to JFK Airport in New York City, beaten with batons, and tried to be forced on a flight to get him out of this country. ICE claims they took away people in with DC families, who work in DC businesses, who worship in DC congregations, who pay DC taxes and eat in DC restaurants. You tell me who is the real threat to our city then. It is the inherently violent institution ripping apart the fabric of our societies. So one more time, we have a responsibility to look out for one another and take care of each other, whether that's in the face of ICE raids or when Nazis try and march in our city. We need to continue to connect these dots of white supremacy, mass incarceration, and mass deportation. Thank you.
All right. Again, thank you all for coming in the hot sunshine. I'm going to close this out with 10 things to say. Are you ready?
Yeah. Yes.
Here are the 10. 202-727-2643. Please write that down. 202-727-2643. I'm going to do it one more time. 202-727-2643. Now guess whose number that is? That is Mayor Bowser's number. What are you going to do? And what are we going to ask for? We're asking that she intervene immediately, take action immediately, as should have been done weeks ago, with ICE officials to seek the release of all detained DC residents. Stand up for DC and stand up to ICE. Number 2, we ask for a public meeting with all of us, with the people who aren't here, all stakeholders in DC, to address the action that must be taken to make DC a true sanctuary city and not a sanctuary city in name. Those are the things we're going to ask Muriel Bowser. So please write that number down and make sure that we call it today, tomorrow, and the next day. Silence is not an option in the face of attacks on our communities. We want sanctuary, not silence. When immigrant lives are under attack, what do we do? When black and brown lives are under attack, what do we do? When our own neighbors are under attack, what do we do? When immigrants are under attack, what do we do? When black and brown lives are under attack, what do we do? When our own neighbors are under attack, what do we do? When immigrants are under attack, what do we do? When black and brown lives are under attack, what do we do? When our own neighbors are under attack, what do we do? Sanctuary, not silence. 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 Thank you all for coming out today.
Awesome.